Classic Hits, 98.9 WJEZ. I'm Todd Weinberner. Good to be with you on this Thursday morning, and joining us in the studio is Mr. Brian Dukes. He is the superintendent at Pontiac's District 429. Good morning, Brian. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's not a problem at all, because we've been talking for some time now. Some very exciting things happening in District 429, and it's all summed up in an acronym, which is STEAM. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening.
Yeah, so just a reminder at what STEAM stands for. It's science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And for the last couple of months, we've been talking with some local partners through the EDC and our Career Center here at the Livingston County Career Center for a model for other school districts in the county to be able to follow to implement STEAM into their own schools. So it's been a lot of work that we put in, and kudos to Adam Dons from the EDC, who's just been an absolute leader, not only in our community but for the entire county, to really get the business community and the schools together at the same table and really talking about things that they're noticing, things that we notice, and just talking shop, really. So we've scheduled some meetings for next year, in which we'll meet quarterly with the business leaders and the school district leaders all at the table and talking just about kind of what we're noticing and things that we want to see moving forward, and partnering up to get them in our buildings and getting our teachers and some of our students into their buildings, just to really see what's happening in our county, because there's a lot of businesses here that are willing to team up with us, and a few partners we've already got so far are Caterpillar, LSC Communications, OSF, Seelig, Technical Motors, Metals, and a few others that we're still working with. But again, thanks to Adam Dons for really setting this all up and getting us going.
When we talk about students at the elementary school level, do you ever get the criticism that some people might say this is a little premature, that we don't need to push kids in this direction when they're quite that young? Yeah,
and the pushback that we have is, regardless of what students are going to do moving forward, they have to have problem-solving skills. They have to be creative. They have to be able to communicate and collaborate with others. So these are all soft skills that they've gotten away from us, I think, in education, and it's something we feel like regardless of what you do when you leave 429 and go on to the high school, those are skills that are important. You just need to have them. There's very few jobs that don't require those skills. So the earlier we can get kids just exposed and teach them how to be productive in those areas, the better off they're going to be for the long haul.
Not too many openings for lighthouse keepers these days, where you're just all by yourself and self-supervised.
Well, especially in Pontiac.
That's absolutely right. Not too much trouble on the Vermilion River. I suppose we should point out to people, and this is not an I suppose, I just want to make sure people understand, this is not a motto and this is not a club kind of a thing. This is actually curricular. You've actually got a STEAM specialist on the faculty.
Yeah, so we'll actually have two next year. So we'll have a STEAM teacher that will work with our K-5 students and staff, and then we will have one working at our junior high. So one thing that we're working with the EDC and the business community is helping us get some resources to add some additional funding. Unfortunately, with the situation in Springfield not being reliable, we're really relying on our local community to come together and help us out. So that way our kids and this generation of kids have this opportunity to be exposed to these different activities. So we're looking to buy some resources for our K-5 teachers. And then at the junior high, there's some modules that the kids will be able to take part in. And we're going to be expanding the lab that we have at the junior high. So, again, that doesn't happen without the business community and the EDC saying, we believe in education. This is what's best for our community. We realize that Springfield's not going to do what they need to do, so we're going to rally around the schools. And, the goal is we'll get the ball rolling for the whole county. We'll be hosting school districts throughout the county to come visit us and collaborate and talk about what we're doing and what they're doing in their schools. And really, this is a true county initiative, which is why it's so important.
And it is exciting that it's happening in a county like ours because, let's face it, a lot of times when you talk about education in Illinois and the more progressive ideas and the initiatives, you're talking about the Chicago suburbs, the suburban schools, which tend to be rich with cash. I shouldn't paint with too broad a brush, but it's true. There's a lot of money up there. And so to have it happening here in Livingston County is very exciting.
Yeah, it's just nice to see the business community really just rally around this whole movement because it doesn't happen in every county. As you get into central and southern Illinois, we're just lucky enough where we've got enough of a business community that's willing to do that.
We're talking with Brian Dukes this morning. He is the superintendent at Pontiac's District 429. We've been talking about the STEAM initiative, but you're going to expand some things, not necessarily STEAM-oriented, but you're going to expand some education opportunities into the summer. So what's happening with that?
Yes, the last couple of weeks we've been working and trying to get some plans in place and hopefully get some information out as we get back from spring break to parents to offer some summer programs, enrichment programs, which is new for our district. We've never had the opportunity to do that. So this really will allow our teachers to continue into the summer and offer some things for both curricular as well as athletics. So right now we are teamed up with a community college down in Bloomington, and we'll be hosting a few different workshops for our second graders through eighth graders in STEAM. So that's something we'll be having offered for all of our families here locally, and it'll be housed over at Washington School. The second thing we're working on is getting some athletic camps for the month of June, where our kids can come in for a week and get a couple hours in the gym and work with our coaches and just really be able to expand on the skills they've already picked up and learned throughout the season. And we kind of get to this dead period, and families are kind of on their own to find activities for their kids. And it just makes sense for us to offer things like that. It's simple. We have the gym space. We have the coaches that are willing to do it. So these next couple of weeks, we're going to continue to work with the athletic directors and try and get that information out, and hopefully we'll get a good showing for this summer.
And it's always good to get the kids off the couch. It's good to get the adults off the couch, too, but the kids are at a stage in life where it's really important to have some physical activity in their lives.
I think the parents will be okay with getting the kids out of the house for 2 or 3 hours for a week or two. So I think it's a win-win for everybody involved.
Anything we've left out, Brian? Anything else we should talk about what's going on with District 429?
No, we're just finishing up our spring break, so hopefully all of our students and staff got some rest this week. Before we know it, we're down to about 7 weeks left of the school year, which is really hard to believe. So before we know it, it's going to be the end of May, and we're off to summer break. It
is hard to believe. You're right. I can't tell you how much I look at the calendar all the time and say, you know what, that's just a few weeks away. That's really not any serious length of time. I'm preaching to the choir here. But, Brian, thanks for coming in. We always appreciate it.
All right, thanks for having me.
I'm Todd Weinberner. That's the Community Forum on Classic Hits, 98.9 WJEZ. We've been talking with Brian Dukes. He's the superintendent of Pontiac's District 429.